everybody, today's video is about how to make a bow drill. We sell these bow drills on our website, and I think it's good for me to show you how to maintain it and also how to do one from scratch. So let's get started. Also today I'm going to be making this set with the Mission MBK titanium knife that we are customizing to make it more suitable for bushcraft. I'm putting new handles on. This is just an experimental one that has an insert with a paracord wrap to give it some extra girth, and I'll also be putting on wooden handles and various other materials to give it the right feel, because from Mission they come with just the paracord wrap only. And also what we're doing is we are increasing the grind so it is more like a bushcraft knife. So I have a jig that will cut these now to the 24 degrees or 25 degrees to match our other bushcraft knives, so that it will carve. And this will dispel some of the concerns I think some people have that titanium doesn't get very sharp. This particular alloy, I don't know what they do, but I'm pretty stoked about it. It's pretty amazing. Cuts great. It never rusts. You can put this knife in salt water for years and take it out. It looks exactly the same. So for some of us who work in marine or coastal areas or are always wet, this might be a really nice addition to your knife collection. So let's see how it does on the bow drill. The first part of the bow drill that I always look for is the drill itself, because it tends to be the hardest part to find, a nice straight dry piece, and it also will dictate how the rest of your set is going to go. So this, for example, has to match the hearth pretty well, and it's easier for me to find hearths than it is for me to find drills. So this is a nice piece of willow. It's fairly straight. I don't know if you can look down here and see, but it's going off a little bit on that end, and you can see this side is more straight. So the side that is more straight is going to be my socket end, and I'm going to use the top end here to form the part that goes into the socket. So this side is the hearth, the side that was straighter, the side that is turning goes into the socket, because I can adjust this, and chest lever grip is great for this particular technique. I can adjust the top, and I'm going to point this to do minimum friction up here. So once I get it down pretty well, now I look down it and I say, okay, how am I in terms of the center? And now I can adjust how I need to. And then I just take a little bit more off of here. So it's a nice fine point. And this will help me burn into the socket. Okay, after that, you can take some of this extra little bark material off just to clean it up. And then we're ready to do this end. This is pretty well cleaned up now, so I'm going to start on the end that goes into the hearth. And it's a similar technique. I'll use the chest lever grip, but instead of pointing it, I'm going to do more of a shallow roundness. So I first start with the corners, and I take the corners off like this, and then I just keep going around, going a little deeper each time. Until I get close to the center. Okay, so we have a nice little shallow round area here that's going to go into the hearth, and again on this side is our point. Okay, so the drill's almost done. Let's start on the hearth. For the hearth, I like to go about a finger thickness, and you want to match it up to your drill. So you can socket, see, this is going to be a good spot right there. It's not huge where I'm going to have to do a whole lot of carving to get to my notch, but it's not too shallow where I'm not going to have a nice shoulder to help me keep that drill in the socket. Okay. If you just have a wider piece and you feel like working a wider piece, just be sure that when you put your drill in that you're not going into the middle of it. Try to play a little bit more towards the edge. Okay. Now I started this one with an axe. I just did a really rough job. This is a nice time to try this technique with your knife if you've never done this before, which is underneath the knee, and you can clean up some of the rough saw marks. Just to smooth it out just a little bit. And going under your knee like this really lets you do nice long carving strokes and keep everything flat. And I'll take the side off here. You can also do the same thing under your knee like that. It's another nice way to flatten out the side and remove the bark. Okay. And I'm doing this a lot prettier than I would do if it was an emergency or something, but because this is going to a customer, I want it to look nice as well. But you certainly can just go for it any time. Alright, so that looks fine for the area that I'm going to be working with right now. Okay, nice and smooth. Looks good. Now there's a couple ways to start your depression where your drill's going to go. You can use your knife and just spin around, but I'm going to show you a different way. If you do have a spoon knife, a lot of folks ask me how to use the spoon knife for this, and so I'll just demonstrate this. What I do is almost like you're scooping ice cream. I do a little circle like this. This is a wonderful tool for this sort of thing. It's good for a lot more than just spoons or bowls. Okay, and then this just pops right out, and you have a perfect little bow drill depression to start burning in. So for the socket, I just cut a piece of oak. There's lots of different socket type materials. Obviously something hard like antler or rock if you are lucky enough to have something like that, but for our purposes and for an emergency type thing, you're going to use what's around. Something harder obviously than the drill, because you don't want this to burn, but you just have to work with what you've got. So I'm going to take off this bark, and I find that just a round branch, and usually the greener the better. For me, it makes it burn a lot less. This piece here could probably be a little bit greener, but we'll give it a go. And then I just flatten out one side, so I'll take my knife and I'll just baton this through, just like so. And there is my socket. Just a down and dirty kind of socket. There's this little branch sticking out there, but that's alright. So now I'll just take my knife point, and always being careful when you're doing this type of thing. This is a very common injury spot. If you're cutting in towards yourself and the knife slips, not good. So what I'd like to do is spin this, and when it starts to get towards the, arcing towards my fingers, I just turn what I'm working on, always being conscious of the direction that the knife is going. Okay. Don't need much here, just enough to get that point to start, like that. The next step is to burn in your depression here. And in order to do that, I had to make a bow, which can be just anything. It doesn't have to be dry wood, it can be anything. And I just slung some paracord in there. And you're going to put your bow, or I'm sorry, your drill, so that it's socket up, hearth side up, and then spin it like so. It's very important that your drill is on the outside of the string, like that. And now place this in here. The socket's going to go on top, and I do this differently than most people. Most people do an opposite, where they put their left leg here if they're right-handed, and they bow sort of across their body like this. But I find it more comfortable, for me anyway, to do the same foot, same arm, because it's a straight motion, and I just find that it's more efficient for me and more comfortable. So play with them both and see what works for you. But things that are consistent with no matter how you do it is that it's very important that this hand is really anchored against your shin, because if it's out here you're going to get all kinds of wobble, and the wobble makes it burn in an elliptical shape or just pop out entirely. So, and especially at the beginning, this is the hard part, is getting a good initial burn. So be very careful and just go slow. Okay, and there's some smoke, so I'm going to kick it up a little bit. Okay, so I've got good smoke there. You can see it burned in very nicely, and I have a good start to my depression there. So I'm going to cut the notch now, and you can see I'm a little closer to this side shoulder than here. So I'm going to cut my notch in this side because I'm already close to the edge and I don't have a shoulder there. So it makes a lot more sense to start there. So to cut the depression, to cut your notch, I find the center like this, and then I just roll my knife over and I put a nice little cut like that. So that tells me where my center line is. And now I can cut. You can either have it down like so and just use your knife in like a slicing kind of motion. It's harder to get it started than it is once you get going. So a nice slice like this is good. Keeping an eye on, again, that center line. You may also, another way to do it is to hold it up against you, especially if the ground's wet. You don't want to do anything that's going to make this even worse. So you can certainly use both thumbs like this, pushing down. But since it's nice and dry today, I'm going to go for this method here, and just cut down, and then make your adjustments. You'll see where you need to be as you go. See, I'm pretty well in the center. And I'm trying to cut in about 1/8 of the pie. That's in my mind what I'm thinking. Let's see how that is. Okay, that looks pretty good. See, I'm stopping short of the center. If you cut past the center, what happens is nothing will ever touch that part of your drill as you bow, and you'll get this stem-looking thing that just will keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's about perfect. And now I'm going to clean it up here with the tip of my knife and really smooth that out. I like to have this nice and smooth so that when my ember's in there, when I go to lift the drill off, it's almost like glass smooth and the ember just stays and I don't disturb it. Because if you're working this hard, you don't want to get that far and have it fail. Okay, we're ready to go. So the only thing I would do is I check my whole set again. Might want to re-sharpen your socket side of the drill. That looks good. The socket was fine. Also test and be sure, it should be tight enough to where you have to work to pop it in, but not so hard that you're really fighting it. So you have to play with it. If the string starts to slip on the drill, then you know that it's too loose. All right, I'm going to get set up and then we'll make a coal. Now before I make my coal, I put a little coal catcher underneath, just a sliver of this wood. And if you notice, my foot is really close to the depression here. That's really important. You just want to minimize all your variables that can cause wobble and instability. So, okay. So I like to start, just take my time, use the whole bow, wait till I get some smoke, and now I'm going to turn it up. And if all goes well, should have a coal. You can tell you have a coal when you see that it's smoking on its own. So you take your time. I've got a tinder bundle here with some sagebrush bark buffed in the center there. And got a nice wind today helping me, so I usually wait until I can see a little bit of red. Just let that coal fortify itself. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now you want to carefully put it into your tinder bundle. Push it together. Woo! There's fire. That's all there is to it. So if you have any questions, visit us at bushcraftnorthwest.com. You could send me an email, and hopefully you can come and train with us someday. Thanks for watching.